Good morning, children. Today we are going to have the second chapter of Flamingo, that is the Lost Spring. Spring, if we are talking about the significance of the title, that is spring is a season full of joy, happiness, where the flowers bloom and so on. Okay? But here, lost spring means the spring is no more. Someone has deprived us from enjoying the spring. So we feel the title is appropriate. Now, as we go with the writer or the author, she is Anis Jung. Okay? She was born in the year 1964 in Rawalpindi. You'll have in the textbook. And her childhood and adolescence she had spent in Hyderabad. She was a columnist, a writer, and this is how in different fields of literature did she excel. Her writings, what we is an excerpt from the stories of Stolen Child. Her most noted work is Unveiling India, where she talks about or gives a detailed chronicle study about the women in India. The background of the Lost Spring was published in the year 2005. Here the theme, what she focuses on is the grinding poverty and traditions which deprived people from leading a life of happiness and joy, and that is why they lead a life of exploitation. As we move on with the main section of the story here or the chapter, here in this chapter we have two stories. One is the first one what we will be handling is the first story, what is Sometimes I Find a Rupee in the Garbage. The first story. Here Anis Jung, the writer, comes across a boy whose name is Sahib A. Alam. Okay? He is a boy, a very small boy, and there when the writer Anis Jung asks him where he has come from, what is he doing and so on, okay? He says that he has come from Bangladesh, okay? And that is a place where he lived, Sahib Alam, and he has come from Bangladesh. His house and the fields, everything are destroyed by a great storm which attacked Bangladesh. Now, he doesn't have any memories of it because he was very small when he came back to this place, and here he also knows all these things because his mother has told. And since then they have shifted to all the people, their family, everyone has shifted from Bangladesh to a big city. Now when we talk about the profession, what do? This boy is a rag picker, and in the rag also they have small tricks. When on asking, the author boy replies that what do they do? He says, I search gold in the rags. Okay? Or they are searching gold in the rags. Why gold? He says that what is the reference? What is the significance of this word gold? Because anything or everything that is required for a survival, that is very auspicious, very important in one's life. And that is what, even though garbage is a waste, these people have hopes, sometimes gold or something. Gold is everything and anything, as I told you, required for their survival. They get it from these rags, and that is what the boy says. Now the author asks him whether he goes to school or not. What is there? He replies, no, he doesn't go to school. Or what is that, why he does this work and not any other work? He says he has nothing else to do. His generations and generations are doing this work, and so he has done this. The author then advises him to go to school. If he studies, he would have a better life, he would get a good job, he would lead a good settled life and so on. But then he doesn't say anything. He receives a negative answer because there was no such school in the neighborhood, and so the writer says that if he opens a school or if he builds a school, will he go, is he interested to go there? The author asked him jokingly, but the boy took it very seriously and he says definitely he would go for that. Days passed. After a few days, the writer meets the boy again. Now, as soon as the writer sees the boy, he saw that the boy is running with full enthusiasm towards the writer. And then, first thing what the boy asks, whether, is your school ready? So the author was embarrassed. Okay? He felt very bad because she just jokingly told him. She had made false promises. Okay? But the boy took it seriously. And the author did not have at that time a proper answer. So he says, no, it takes time to build a school, and somehow try to escape from the reply. The boy's life is full of many dreams, many hopes, but here they are shattered by so many false promises which made by the people whom they come across. Now we move to a little different angle of the story. Here the boy's name is Saheb A. Alam. I did not tell you the name earlier because some significance, or I want to tell about the writer and the background of the story. Then I would like to introduce you to the main character, the boy, that is Saheb A. Alam. What is the meaning of? You have it in the textbook. Okay, Lord of the Universe. See the coincidence. The name is Saheb A. Alam, Lord of the Universe. And what work is he doing? He is picking up the rags. He is scrounging the rags. Okay? And so the boy name and the occupation doesn't match each other. And so sometimes the author feels that the name is not suitable for him. Okay? The boy would also feel, the boy he has a name, but this meaning that he is the Lord of the Universe, the boy doesn't know the meaning of his name. Because if he knows the reality, then he would feel bad. He would be ashamed of himself that the name is so big and the task what he is doing, the Lord doesn't do that sort of task. The author then sees the boy roaming with some other boys. One day it happened like that. The author was taking around and he finds this boy moving along with some other boys. These boys, they were all walking barefooted. They did not have any shoes. No one was wearing. And one of them was wearing, but two different colored shoes in 2 feet. Two different colored shoes in both the feet. One day then the author come across a boy, another boy. And then he's asking, why are you not wearing chappals? The boy replied that the mother had not given him from the shelf. Some other boys, he asked different why they are not putting on chappals. Some said that mother has not given him. Some says he prefer walking barefoot. Okay? And these are the replies. When the author got this reply, some said he doesn't like it. So the author did not accept the reply. He said, no, in this scorching heat and all, who would dare to walk barefoot? Maybe because he was trying to hide his poverty. He did not want to expose his financial status, and that is why might be saying that he doesn't like to have it. Now, the author somehow came to know from one of the boys that it's their tradition that they do not wear shoes. This thing also did not did not allow the author to accept the fact. The wonders of the author. Now the author was putting deep thought that this tradition, is it fact or is it really that the boy is trying to hide his poverty, his situation, because the subject here we have that the author is trying to focus on the poverty and tradition. So what is and how this tradition has gripped the boy into poverty, boy and other boys like him. This makes the author, when he hears all these things from the boys, the author is put into deep thoughts, and it makes him remember a story. What is the story? Let's see. He says there was a boy from Udupi, and every day while going to school, he has to come across a temple. His father was a priest in the temple, and every day this boy would pray to God that to allow him to have a pair of shoes. To his surprise, he finds the boy would stop there every day, and every day he would pray that God give me shoes to wear. After these went on and on. After 30 years, the author again happens to visit the place. He goes to the temple and he goes to the priest's house. Now, to his surprise, he finds a drastic change in the house. There are plastic, different color chairs. The house is well furnished. Okay, and he finds a boy who is putting on shoes and socks. He's getting ready to go to school. And after 30 years, she feels that the standard has changed in the neighborhood. Somewhere in the neighborhood, rag pickers, but standard has changed somewhere, but somewhere it is alive. And he sees that the same situation is there with the rag pickers in the neighborhood. They are as shoeless, as suffering in poverty, but here this boy, who used to pray for a pair of shoes, here the standard has changed. The author stays in Delhi, and next to him, to his neighborhood, there is a place named Simapur. And here, these almost 10,000 families of these rag pickers stay. Hardly any basic facilities are there in their houses. No water, no electricity, no proper drainage system, sewage, nothing is there. But still, these people, the author wonders how they stay here. And what is the profession of all these 10,000 people? Only picking up the rags. To the mothers, they only think what these rag pickers have is a ration card, an identity card. And that identity card helps them to enlist their names in the voters list. But to the mothers of these rag pickers, these identity and things are irrespective. She is interested that only at the end of the day they get some food, and that who gives them? These rags, this waste what they pick up or what they find in the rags. And this identity will not feed their children. But the rags, after picking up the rags, they sell them, and whatever money they get, they are able to feed the children, and because of that, the children do not sleep aching stomach. Aching stomach means empty stomach. The garbage drums provide them coins. That's what the mother says. Torn shoes, toys, and somehow they are able to fulfill their requirement and survive in the world. A fine day, writer finds Sahib. One fine day, writer was walking along the road, and he happens to see Sahib standing near a tennis court. He's asking, author asks him, what are you doing? Why are you standing here? He says, I see these people playing cricket, and I dream of that sometimes I would go inside. Okay? He was, when he says, do you get a chance? How will you go inside? These are the people who play and then they go inside. Okay? Who play, they only go can have the permission. He says that he had been there sometimes. Okay? And the gatekeeper allows him to go. He has visited. And as the author was watching him thoroughly, he happens to see that he was putting on some shoes. Okay, shoes were well, the condition was proper, but it was looking strange because the boy was very dirty. The clothes what he was wearing was shabby, but the shoes what he was wearing were attractive and new-like. On asking, the boy explains that someone has given him. Someone might have discarded, some rich person must have discarded the shoes, and might be that he has got, and so he is putting on. But then Sahib tells the author that the whole and as he was looking, or he was minutely observing the shoes, he happens to find a hole in the shoes. So Sahib tells the author that the hole doesn't make any difference, because all these years he been walking barefoot, and a shoes with a hole is like it feels that even though the shoes has a hole, always he has a dream that he would get some shoes, and that the hole is irrespective, but his dream is fulfilled. Another morning, the author finds Sahib Alam moving towards a milk van. He has a milk he has a milk canister is can in the hand, and he is going to get milk. But the author was surprised. The joyful, happy, enthusiastic boy, today he seems sad. He did not have that energy. His face seemed morose. Okay? And he did not have the bag, the rag-picking bag in his hand. Instead of that, what did he have? He had a can. And here, he was not happy. So, the writer feels that. Why is it so? And he comes to see that the old bag on his shoulders was his own. He had carrying it, he was full of confidence. The work what he did was his own. Whatever he earned or whatever he got from the garbage, that was his own. It is a sign of his independence. But here, he is working for a milk booth. He is going to get, even though the can is still made of steel, quite costlier than the old bag. But still, it is not his, it is someone. He is dependent on someone. He is working for someone. And this thought has made Sahib feel sad and morose. So this is how the first story gets over.